This is Mark Bell from Super Training Gym. Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. It's the bench day, so I'm allowed to be the strongest gym in the West for today, even while Chris Duffin's in the house. We got Chris Duffin here today. I'm super excited. He showed us how to deadlift yesterday. He took us through a deadlift routine. He deadlifted like a madman, like the mad scientist he is. How much did you deadlift yesterday, Chris?
It was 855. I don't know how many reps because I can't keep track. It's more than was on my hand. So,
ladies and gentlemen, he was drunk, is what he's trying to say. We had some whiskey. We shared some good times. It was a lot of fun, but I could not even come close to keeping up with what Chris was doing yesterday. He just kept jumping up like 180 pounds per attempt and just kind of left me in the dust. Left me kind of sad. But today's bench day, and I'm able to bench some pretty good weight. And so today I was working with some chain weight. And Chris, what were you doing today?
I was doing some reverse grip bench.
Why the reverse grip? What's that for, and why are you doing that?
Because I'm cool.
He's too cool for school. He no longer wants to bench this way. He's got to be different, everybody. He's got to start benching like this.
So, you know, I'm focused right now on building up my deadlift and maintaining my squat. So I'm just kind of playing around on bench. I'm trying to save a little bit of my training reserves for those bigger lifts for my focus that I have. And so I'm doing some higher rep work, and I just decided to play around with some reverse grip for a couple months, something different. A lot of people don't realize that the reverse grip actually adds some value though. So the reverse grip alleviates some of the discomfort on the shoulder and the elbows if done correctly. A lot of people think it's bad.
Why do you think that is? Just nature of the positioning? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it cues you, just like why I promote the use of the Duffin bar on the bench. It cues you into that external rotation. Right. You're not fighting the bar. And so for that perspective, it loads the joint completely differently.
Right.
And for a lot of people, can remove some of those stresses. I'm not planning on competing on the bench press right now, so it's a great time to play around with something that's different. And I'm moving forward. Every week I'm able to progress on it. Once that slows down, I'll switch to something else.
Chris has some really weird and unique ways of training. When he tells you something, it only starts to make sense after you've known him for a really long time. He's told me all kinds of crazy things in the past where I'm like, that just doesn't really add up. But his type of math is a little different than what the rest of us are working with. And when he's talking about doing like high reps, most people would say, okay, well, you know, if you're a power lifter and you normally do sets of 5, a set of 10 would be a lot because that would be double. A set of 15 would be quite a bit. But not for this guy. He went on to do 225 pounds with a reverse grip for like 50 something reps.
I think it was 58.
58, and the goal today was 60. But a lot of times Chris will come back, you know, after failing and not hitting the number that he wants, and he'll say, oh, that's okay, next time I'll get it for 65. And I'll look at him like he's got two heads thinking again, like, I don't understand how that adds up. How are you able to do that? Is that like a mental thing for you, or is it some sort of just preparation with the actual training itself?
You know, that's just something that you need to do in general practice for life. I mean, like, you've got to believe in yourself and set the goals. And you know, sometimes if the challenge isn't big enough, maybe you're not stepping up your mental game enough.
I like the sounds of that.
So it can be a little crazy, but every now and again, making the challenge a little bit harder can make it easier.
Right.
It's like, I got to do this and walk through and do some stuff, and you're just not fired up. You don't get after it. So yeah.
So like maybe if someone is listening to this right now and they say, oh, you know, I'm going to do my last set with 225 pounds after they did some of their working sets, and they get in their head, hey, I'm going to do a set of 10 or 12. You're saying, screw it, man. Just go for like 15, 18, 20. Set the bar high and really get after it.
I guess you can think of it that way. Yeah.
Just get a little crazy. Then you did like what, 330 pounds or 340 or something like that?
340 for 20 after that.
Man, why 340? What's the number there? Just as a percentage based, or?
So I'm just while I'm doing this, I'm just doing something very, very simple math. Like I said, there's not a lot of complexity to the program. We don't have it all calculated out. We're not managing velocity and doing a lot of stuff that I normally do. I'm doing sets of 20.
Right.
And if I hit it, I go up.
I got you.
So I started with 315, and every week I add 5 to 10 pounds if I hit my 20.
Right.
And so when I stall out, then I'm going to switch to doing something different.
I got you.
But I'm still moving up.
That makes some sense.
So why not keep doing it?
That makes some sense.
But for me, that high rep range is something that normally I would do this actually prior to going into like a strength block in preparation for a meet. It just seems to help in the process. So.
Right. And you know, when you're doing these kind of reps like this, it gives you some different goals. Whenever you switch anything up, it now gives you an opportunity to get a PR. I don't know if you already know your best at 225 reverse grip, but I would imagine what you did today is probably up there.
That was it. So
there you go.
Last week I did 56. So
right.
Yep.
And so see, even though Chris has been training, what, 10, 15 years?
25.
Even though he's been training well over 2 decades, it gives him an opportunity to still hit PRs. A lot of times people think they can't progress as they get older, but he and I are living proof of it. You can still get better. You go in and just say, I'm gonna do this for a set of 7. What's your PR sumo deadlift with chains for a set of 7? You probably have no clue, right? So anytime you try something new is an opportunity to hit a PR, and on top of that, it's an opportunity to feel good. Everyone always talks about working their weakness. Working your weakness can be great, but working your weakness is a pain in the ass, and it actually can make you quite depressed sometimes about how inefficient you truly are in a movement. Every once in a while, throw yourself that underhand pitch and knock that motherfucker out of the park.
How many years have you been training, Mark?
Yeah, same thing, about 25 years.
Yeah, so sometimes you gotta, like I said, something different just keeps it exciting.
Right.
Like if all I did every single workout was come in and squat, bench, and deadlift, and pretty much the same routine.
Right.
Can you imagine doing that for 25 years? You might get a little old.
Yeah.
You might want a little bit different flavor to your,
Right.
your basic Cheerios.
Yeah, and just trying to hit max sets of 5 and max sets of 3 and max sets of 1 over and over and over again is more than likely going to be too much on your system and going to be too hard at a certain period.
And so I get this question a lot because a lot of what I do is actually very, very technical, very thought out. And so I'll get questions on some of the random stuff that I do. People are like, what is the reason you're doing that? And my answer is highly technical. Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. I enjoy doing it.
That's a great point.
You got to not forget, there's a reason we started training to begin with, right? Besides the pickup girls.
Yeah.
Obviously that was priority one that got us all into it, I'm pretty sure. But it's fun. And sometimes we forget that.
Yeah, and you've used chains and stuff like that in the past. And
I still do.
Whether you're using bands or using chains or using the Duffalo bar or using a safety squat bar, it's all just to create somewhat of a different stimulus.
Yep.
And even more so, just have fun.
You were using chains today. What's going on there?
So I went through a 3-week training block of just straight weight, and used 405 throughout the whole training block. Started out week 1 with 4 sets of 6 reps, added 1 rep each week for 3 weeks, and ended up in the final week with 4 sets of 6 reps with 405. So the challenge was getting a little harder as I was adding a little bit more repetitions to each set. Then I decided, hey, you know what? It's just not challenging enough, it's not quite hard enough, so let's add chains in the mix. Week 1 with 405 for sets of 3 was with 2 chains per side. And this is week number 2. And we have 3 chains per side now. And then the next week we're gonna add another chain. As you know, the chains help accommodate resistance. Weights are heavier at the top and they're lighter at the bottom. When I missed my 605 bench, or 600-pound bench, I got tweaked as I was pushing kind of through that mid-range. And I feel like with the use of chains or bands, I can start to tap into a stimulus that maybe I wasn't getting before. I can kind of hit that strength curve. As soon as the weights start to really pile up and as soon as you need to flex your pecs and flex your body as hard as possible, is kind of the area that I got hurt in. So I figure if I can spend more time in that area, have more time under tension in that area, that's what's gonna get me to the next level, and that's why I've selected to use some chains.
Sometimes you hit on a very valid point here. So sometimes people get so caught up in the numbers and their planning. I'm in my accumulation phase. I'm in,
intensification.
Right. And so
we know those fancy words too.
I know how to program it too. But you get so caught up in that, and here's the plan, and guess what? You need to be observing what is going on with your weaknesses, your strengths, how your body's reacting. Go, you know what? God, right now, I'm not, the heavy load on my shoulders, it hasn't been on there for a while. I'm not taking it very well. I need to put in some overload work.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? I'm slowing down out of the hole. I need to, do some pause squats. You need to be constantly assessing where that is in it, and then giving some thought to, how your program is. And you can't plan out 9 months from now, this is what's going to be happening.
Yeah. Well, and I went to you and I said the plan was to do 3 or 4 sets. And I ended up doing 6 or 7 sets. And the reason was very simple. It was feeling good, so I just kept going with it. The other option is when something's feeling good, why not try some max singles or some max doubles or a PR even. It's always good to challenge yourself. It's always good to try new things. If things are feeling right, then it gives you the go-ahead, it gives you the green light to try something a little different, try something a little crazy for the day. You don't always want to get too far outside of what you have set up, because that's the reason why you set it up in the first place, is to keep you kind of even keel and keep you from going too crazy. But when things are feeling good, every once in a while just roll the dice.
Yep.
And then on the flip side of that, shit's going bad. You got to realize sometimes you just got to pack it up, and you got to head home, and you got to just eat and recover and sleep and all that.
Yes.
Strength is never a weakness. That's bench pressing with Chris Duffin and myself, and that is it from Super Training Gym. Later.
Thanks for watching the last video, guys. If you want more content, be sure to subscribe, like, share it. Leave your comments below on what you thought. If you want to see more content from the strongest gym in the West, be sure to click up here. And if you guys want the best gear in the powerlifting game, all the strength sports, slingshot, right over here.